All right, Buck fans, welcome in week 2 edition, no quarter given podcast. Buccaneers 1-0 with a big 20-17 win up in Minnesota. Week 1, I'm your host, Jason, down in Tampa, along with Peter Blake. Thanks for having us on. Paul Stewart, part of the BuckPower.com podcast network. Well, Peter Blake, we both called it last week. I said 6 points was too much. I think we both thought the Buccaneers could win the game outright. And lo and behold, Chase McLaughlin, 57-yard field goal later, the Bucs are 1-0, my man.
I'm telling you, and the start of the game was inauspicious, right? Leo word. I mean, what did they go? 3 for 12 for Baker, 30 yards of total offense. You had social media climbing the rooftops in the mountains saying, Kyle Trask, start him the second half if you want to have a chance to win. And once again, ye have little faith as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers figure it out before halftime, get a spark there with Mike Evans and a touchdown. And then the second half, it's a totally different story. And as always, when it comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's not about offense, it's about defense. And of course, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
And we're going to get into all the different big play, big moments of the game. And, you know, we saw some growth out of Todd Bowles. I loved what he did in the second half, going for it on fourth down. We're going to talk about that here in a second. All right, let's start. You mentioned the early, and just so you know, Buck fans, buckpower.com. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, do so. You'll get this podcast delivered to your device every single week. You can find the video content of this interview on my YouTube channel, the Jason Powers Sports channel. We'll put that on social media as well, JPO Sports. Peter Blake on Facebook. You can find him. We'll be posting stuff all over there. I know Peter's doing some great stuff. Had just finished up his show for the week. He's got some. You want to make the announcement?
You know what? I'm going to save it for,
okay.
I'm going to do it on this podcast. Yeah, I'm going to be credentialed media for Sunday against the Bears, as my voice is kind of going out here. But, you know, for me, it's been unbelievable being a part of not only this podcast, my show, The Sports Web, and now the JP Peterson Show as a co-host and an executive producer. It's just amazing. And I haven't been credentialed to a Bucs game since 2018. So it's a little bit emotional for me today looking at that. And
that's great news, man.
It's great news. And we can get the evolution of sports talk television on the field and take phone calls now. So let the fun begin. Let the good times roll.
So Peter, if you're going to be in Raymond James, be looking for Peter post game. We'll be doing some stuff both in the locker, the press area, and then probably at post game on the field after the game, potentially with you and JP and all the whole crew doing some live stuff. So awesome news to hear there, and you'll have a great time. By the way, I'm just going to give you a tip, man. Don't be wearing a suit and tie Sunday. It's going to be hotter than you know what. Wear comfortable clothes, Peter Blake.
I was thinking about doing that, trying to
comfortable, bro.
A sponsorship deal, but yeah, you're exactly right, because it's 90 degrees out and it feels like 110 degrees, which, by the way, is consequently like my kitchen on a Saturday night. Everything burns. Just remember this, kids, if you're listening to this podcast, air fryers save lives. There you
go. So, all right, let's get to the on the field action Sunday, 1:00 in Minnesota. You mentioned an up and down first half. They the first 3 or 4 drives didn't move the ball up, but I will say this: we did have a big Baker. If you remember, Baker throws a long bomb to Evans. Hard to see on TV. Was it a drop? TJ Reeves kind of gave me the indication that it was. So we had an opportunity there for the long bomb early. Didn't connect. But what a drive at the end of the first half. The defense. Let's get to before we get to the end of the first half. The defense, man, that first quarter and a half, they were unbelievable. The speed, the coverage, the ability to not get tricked by the misdirection stuff with Cousins and O'Connell. They kept, Jefferson had a couple crossing route plays, but they kept him in check. In the blitzing defense, they caused turnovers. Antoine Winfield with the strip sack. He had a couple of other sacks. What a job by that Buccaneer defense that first quarter and a half.
Yeah, I think I told you on this podcast, look out for Antoine Winfield Jr. Why? Because he went to the University of Minnesota, and also his father played for the Minnesota Vikings, so he's going to have something to prove. And, of course, Winfield Jr. could be up for a contract.
Oh, he will be. Ain't no could be.
Right. And he played like it, and you're exactly right. And I think it started the first drive when they set the tone. Kalijah Cansey, number 19
Yes.
overall, giving Kirk Cousins, how do you like that? A kidney shot. I didn't feel too good. And I tell you right now, that defense was all over the place. Defensive rotation, Antoine Winfield Jr. causing turnovers, causing havoc. It's exactly what Carlton Davis said just a couple months ago. We're about to wreck you know what, and they did on Sunday.
JTS showed up on the edge, a couple of good pressures. You had Cansey up the
Hall.
middle. Cansey, again, re-injures his calf. We don't know the severity of it. Probably going to be out a couple weeks, I would guess. Is the he re-aggravated his injury a little bit. I don't think it's as severe as it maybe was in training camp, but I got a feeling they're going to sit him for a week or two to get him fully healthy. You got some depth on that defensive line that you can utilize in his absence. But again, the pressures, the front four, Devin and Levante were all over the place on these screens and misdirections in the run game and some of these throwback, some of that kind of stuff that O'Connell likes to do. And I liked what I saw out of Carlton Davis at corner, a couple PBUs later in the game. He was not, and we'll talk about a couple of, Jefferson got loose a couple times. If you remember on my podcast, we talked about it. Don't let Jefferson go over 150 and wreck the game. Well, they held him right to 150, and it was just enough.
Well, the first half, he definitely wrecked it, but you're exactly right. They had a game plan in the second half, but it's a bend, don't break defense, and that's what it comes down to. And, yeah, you could throw for all those yards, but we got to get to probably the biggest play in the game besides Mike Evans' touchdown before halftime. I know you want to get to that.
Now let me get to that before we get to that play. That I know that you're going to probably talk about Izzian's play right at the goal line. Let's talk about the first drive after the first turnover. The one, we talk about Baker struggling in the first half. The first play after the turnover, he misses. Keefe would have been a walk-in touchdown on the seam route. That made you a little nervous early, if I'm to being honest, because he's wide open. It's a walk-in touchdown that Baker airmailed. So, but give Baker credit. After the Bucs kicked the first field goal to go up 3-0, they score to make it, 10-3. Minnesota scores 10 in a row, make it 10-3. The Bucs with a great 2-minute drive to get the Evans on the little double move up the hash mark. Baker, beautiful throw by Baker, good call by Canales, great protection. Gets to 10-10, and your play of the game. Minnesota drives back down into the half. They're inside the 10-yard line, and your guy, undrafted free agent, Christian Izzian, with a huge interception at about the 2-yard line.
Yeah, and a cheap shot tackle by Justin Jefferson, which, by the way, Izzian is in concussion protocol because of that hit. But you're exactly right. You watch the replay. He takes it away from KJ Osborne. He wants it more. And look, the Vikings had all the momentum at that point, because if you score 3 points, you don't feel so good about your performance. They get nothing. And Jason Powers, my tag team partner of the world, they had to like it, and they liked it. I don't think they liked it. I think the Bucs defense liked it a lot. So you keep them off the board, and you feel good about it, because even as bad as your offense played, even though you score a touchdown before the half, and you cause all those turnovers and you have all those yards, you're tied with the Minnesota Vikings, which, by the way, had 13 wins last year on the road. Not bad.
What'd you think of? I thought the offensive line was good. They had one holding penalty early, but no false starts. They did that. I thought they were, they weren't dominant, but they held their own very well. Flores brought a lot of blitzes and a lot of exotic scheme-wise stuff. We know he was, and they admitted after the game they were a little flustered in that first half with the different schematic things that Flores and that defense was doing, and that's to be expected. New defensive coordinator there, just like the Bucs. New offensive coordinator, so sounds like lots of adjustments at halftime and a lot of good adjustments at the half.
And I think that was probably the most impressive thing for me, is because this coaching staff has been under fire last year because they haven't made the necessary adjustments, and they did that in the second half. And you talk about the offensive line, a lot of questions about Tristan Wirfs. I thought he would make a great transition to left tackle. Guess what? You didn't hear the guy's name. That's usually a good thing. Luke Gedeke, you talked about it. He had a holding penalty, but besides that, giving up a sack, that really wasn't his fault. Baker went into that sack. Daniel Hunter, one of the premier
He's a good player.
rushers. shut down by that right side with the rookie and, of course, Luke Gedeke. So
And
impressive by
Hainsey
the
did a good
offensive
job
line.
at center,
Yep.
stepping in for Jensen. There was no issues there with delay of games, things like that. Those are all the operational things that in
No
that type of.
Donovan Smith critical penalties that would drive you
Yep.
crazy and make you pull your hair out.
Remember, no Cody Malk last week with the back spasm, so we'll see what the status is of him moving forward. If he ends up playing.
Oh,
Um,
actually, he did play in this
oh,
game.
my bad. Okay, you're right. I missed that. Okay,
He
that's
did.
totally
He
my
played
mistake.
in this game, and you didn't hear from him. That's the thing. You didn't
And
hear from
that's
this offensive line, which is a great thing. That
yep.
means that they're doing their job.
All right, so we end the first half 10-10. The Bucs get the ball in the second half, and what a drive. 9 minutes plus. They go down and score a touchdown. Trey Palmer scores on his first NFL catch on a scramble play. Nice job by Baker keeping the play alive. Hits Palmer. Great job by Palmer making the catch on it. It wasn't a terribly hard catch, but to make the first catch when you get your first ball thrown to you, kudos to Trey Palmer. Keeps making plays.
Yeah, he keeps on making plays. He did that in the preseason. He did it in training camp. I remember, dusting Sauce Gardner, one of the top young corners in the league, and he continues to perform. And that's exactly what you need out of your third wide receiver for the Bucs.
So Minnesota ties the game later on in the early fourth quarter, late third
That's
quarter.
a BS interference call on Etienne. I mean,
That was iffy. That one could have gone either way. I mean, as the official in me, I can you can make an argument both
follow the
ways.
whistle, Jason Powers, right on that. If you're refing that game, you follow the
There
whistle.
wasn't a lot. I will say this: there wasn't a lot there. It wasn't egregious. I don't think the ball was catchable. The Bucs got a bad break there. The Vikings, I can't remember. I think it was it Madison who catches the little swing pass, runs through Izzy and barrels his way into the end zone. One thing I thought the tackling was pretty good for the Bucs. I thought there wasn't a ton of missed tackles. They got burned a little bit on a couple of the zone coverages with Jefferson on the crossing routes, but in the second half, tremendous job on Jefferson. He had like 130 yards at the half. I think he only had maybe 20 yards in the second half. Great job by Bowles and that defensive staff with the adjustments. And we get to the fourth quarter. The moment of truth of Todd Bowles' coaching career, in my opinion, so far as the Buccaneer head coach. 17-17, 8 minutes to go, fourth and a half a yard on your own 32. The old Todd Bowles, the defensive-minded Todd Bowles, which we get it, would have punted the ball. Your defense was playing good. I love that Todd Bowles went for it, 4th and 1. Baker Mayfield on the quarterback sneak. He didn't make it by a lot, but he made it. Triggers the drive that turns into then he lets McLaughlin kick a 57-yard field goal, which we wouldn't have been able to kick last year with Suckup. No offense to Suckup, but he can't kick it that far anymore. McLaughlin delivers. What a confidence boost to that Buccaneer sideline on that drive.
And agree, and I think Baker stepping up there. I like the decision whether they make it or not. It's ballsy by Todd Bowles. Now he's become a riverboat gambler. I love the run pass option where Baker basically gives the guy a stiff arm, and then when he's trying to convert that third down and he puts his shoulder down and puts it into that guy to basically get the game, have the Vikings take the rest of their timeouts, and then he needs that third down. And what does he do, Jason Powers? He gets that third down with a pass to Chris Godwin.
And again, conservative-wise, in the past, you could have said, we're going to run the ball and burn 40 seconds and punt. I like that they throw the ball. Canales seems like he's got some freedom in the play calling. I like Bowles allowing him to do that. And to me, one of the big moments of the game was after McLaughlin kicks the 57-yarder, the Bucs go 3 and out on defense immediately after. No first downs, nothing from Minnesota. Carlton Davis with a nice deflection on third down. They punt the ball, and that's when the Bucs, back to your point, burn the last 5 minutes of the game, run the clock out with the critical run by Mayfield, and then the great out route to Godwin. Tough catch by Godwin, keeps his feet in bounds, doesn't juggle the ball, and that's why you pay Chris Godwin what you pay him to make those big catches.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's the reason why, and that's the reason why you got him as a quarterback to make that type of throw. That is a big-time throw by a big-time player.
No doubt. All right, So before we're gonna get to Paul Stewart, he's gonna give you a little montage of the Chicago Bears. We're playing the Bears this week.
Chicago Bears.
Yeah, we're a little montage of Bucs Bears history. Go to buckpower.com for all your Buccaneer history, audio, videos. He's in the final stages of his countdown of the top 100 Bucs. We're in the bottom 10, the top 10 as far as the best 10 Buccaneers of all time. He has a podcast he just put out concerning the Chicago Bears 1985 season opener that led to the year of the 86, the famed 86 Bears winning the Super Bowl. He's got a great podcast that out chronicles that game. And again, he's going to give you a montage of the Bucs Bears history. There'll be a lot of Chicago fans in Raymond James Stadium on Sunday. But before we get to Paul Stewart, I want to talk to you a minute about ticketsmarter.com. Bucs fans, Bears fans, if you're looking for tickets on the secondary market, this will be a pretty interesting ticket this Sunday at Raymond James on the market. I think you're going to have a big crowd. Go to ticketsmarter.com. All football events, college, pro, Major League Baseball. We got a big weekend in the city in Tampa. Bucs Bears Sunday. You got Bama USF Saturday. If you're a big football SEC fan, Gators Tennessee Saturday night in Gainesville at the Swamp. You got Rays and Baltimore Orioles in a huge showdown series. You can use TicketSmarter all over the country, no matter what team you are a fan of. TicketSmarter.com is your place. They got a mobile app. You can get all the great prices. Use this promo code POWERS10. If you spend $100, TicketSmarter, use the promo code POWERS10. You get $10 off. Use the code POWERS20 if you spend $300 and you get $20 off. Unlimited times you can use the code POWERS10 or POWERS20. Use it, ticketsmarter.com. Get your secondary tickets on the secondary market. You're going to get a great price. You're going to get great seats, venues all over the country. I don't care what it is, sports, NBA, basketball, hockey, whatever it is, use it. Chicago fans, use it up in Chicago at Soldier Field for the Bulls games. Cubs going to the playoffs, it looks like, in baseball. Whatever it is, use it. Ticketsmarter.com is the place to go. All right, so we'll be back in just a minute after Paul Stewart's montage. We're going to be back and give you a little preview Bucs Bears on Sunday, Raymond James Stadium. Stay tuned. All right, Buck fans, we are back. Powers and Blake here. No quarter given podcast. I almost screwed that up, by the way.
That's all right. That's all right.
It's live audio here on the
buddy.
No Quarter Given podcast. All right, Peter Blake. What's the biggest takeaway you take from week 1 in Minnesota?
Well, I take away a defense that, again, is stifling, is causing turnovers, is getting after the passer, and I feel like this is a matchup you have to watch out for because I was disappointed in where I was surprised of how the Bears looked in their offensive line, and if they're that susceptible to Green Bay's defense, which I don't think is as good as the Bucs, then Justin Fields is going to be running for his life all day long. And even though the Bucs have problems with usual mobile quarterbacks in Fields, I think they're going to be able to expose that matchup and take advantage of that matchup on Sunday versus the monsters of the Midway.
The Chicago Bears were terrible on Sunday. Justin Fields in that offense was pitiful. That guy, I just don't think he reached defenses worth a flip. He is not. You are going to see some exotic coverages from Bowles, some blitzes, things. I mean, they looked putrid on offense on Sunday. Their defense was okay. They weren't great, but they weren't terrible. I mean, but from an offensive perspective, you're the Buccaneer defense. This is an opportunity to couple interceptions here. Maybe you're not going to probably sack him a bunch because he's so mobile. But there's some opportunity in the passing game here if you can disguise your coverages to make some hay in the secondary.
Yeah, and your old friend there, DJ Moore from Carolina, as a wide receiver. And look, they're going to try to get him the ball. Justin Fields is going to try to develop some chemistry because whatever that was last Sunday was not it. That's not the reason why you pick up DJ Moore and you trade for him. And there's lots of doubts right now with this organization if Fields is even their franchise quarterback or even in their plans. So, the Bucs defense can do they can do a favor to the Chicago Bears organization and let everybody know that Justin Fields maybe isn't the franchise quarterback that they think he is by causing turnovers, getting after him, and, of course, shutting down a DJ Moore. And the other guy that I would look out for on this team, not only Cole Kmet, the tight end, but
Yep.
also the new running back out of Texas, Roshan Johnson.
Yep.
He is a beast. He is a tank. He's got lots of potential. We saw how great the Bucs did against that run game of Minnesota. Let's see if they can still do.
41 yards rushing allowed against Minnesota,
Yeah, if they
which
can
is
do
what you
that,
want to see. Great job
exactly.
by Vita Vea in there. You saw Logan Hall make some plays. Cansey,
Yep.
very good job in the run stopping with Levante and Devin cleaning it up behind them. Chicago's going to try to run the ball with Herbert. They got Deontay Foreman, who we know from Carolina, Roshan Johnson. I think they're going to try to do some of that, suck the linebackers up and throw it over the behind them with the DJ Moores. Couple of little controversy out of Chicago. What's going to be the status of Chase Claypool? Terrible game from all reports. He could be an inactive kind of guy. They were very disappointed how he played Sunday. Is he inactive? Is that causing some drama in the locker room? Darnell Mooney's a pretty good player, so be careful there. You got Mooney and DJ Moore, but I think you're going to see a lot of Carlton Davis on DJ Moore, I think, on Sunday.
Yeah, DJ Moore and Carlton Davis is the matchup to watch, and also Jamel Dean versus Mooney or Chase Claypool. I don't think Claypool is going to play in this game because the effort is not there, and it's not just about him running routes. It's about just effort, trying to block,
Yep.
trying to do your job.
Yep.
That's exactly what the Bucs defense has to focus on. Do your job, make the Bears one-dimensional, force Justin Fields to throw from the pocket. I think he can win this game and win this game easily.
And let's go to the offensive side, the Buccaneer offense against the Chicago defense. The Chicago defense, Eberflus is a pretty vanilla defensive coordinator relative to most people. Plays a lot of Tampa 2. They're going to rely on the pass rush. They got Ngakoue. They got some decent guys at the not great pass rushers, but okay. They had some free agent acquisition. Eddie Jackson's a good ball hawk at safety, been around the league a while. But if you're the Buccaneers, this is an opportunity to run the ball. You saw Green Bay run the ball very effectively in the second half against Chicago. I think if the Bucs continue to run the ball, which they did, love the commitment last week, 33 rushes. It wasn't a ton of yards, but they were hard-earned and it was consistent. I think you're going to see some Rachaad White. Nice 3 or 4 carries that we saw last week out of Sean Tucker. I think the Keyshawn Vaughn is going to continue to be, we saw that experiment. He's going to be the fourth guy. Do they activate Chase Edmonds? Probably, maybe as the third. We'll see. But it's clearly Rachaad White and Sean Tucker at running back.
Yeah, it clearly is. And of course, they want to do a better job of, having yards per carry because they ran the ball 33 times and you passed the ball 34. So that's where your balance is. And of course, you want more yards on the ground. We'll see if White and Tucker can do that this week versus, a pretty good matchup with the Bears because they weren't good defensively either.
And they're going to play, like I said, a lot of cover too. They're going to not let Evans and Godwin ought to have their opportunities on the outside in the intermediate game. The 10, 15, 20-yard passing attack. I think maybe this is a Cade Otton kind of game too. The safety's playing deeper. You're going to have some opportunity over the middle, I think, with Cade Otton and Keefe. It'll be interesting to see if David Wells, if he's activated and stays in the mix as far as, because they've talked about he can run Wells, but Cade Otton's for sure the number 1 tight end. I like the matchup, and the offensive line's not going to be overwhelmed. You're going to have the home crowd. The noise is not going to be an issue. I think that's going to be a benefit to the Bucs in the running game. And it's a 1:00 game. And say what you want, Chicago ain't used to that 90 degrees and the humidity of that the Buccaneers are practicing for 6 weeks. That will be a factor, and the Bears wearing those dark jerseys will be an issue too.
Yeah, wearing those orange jerseys is not going to help. And if the Bucs get up in this game and they start to run the ball, you kind of wonder if this defense will wilt in that heat.
But if you're the Buccaneers, to me, the defensive key of the game, you can't let Fields run wild. You have to contain, keep your rush lanes contained, make him throw the ball. If he's going to beat us, he better throw for 285 yards and 2 touchdowns. It better not be 85 yards rushing and 2 rushing touchdown kind of deal.
Right.
You better make Justin Fields throw the ball and beat you that way. Is the only way I think the only way I think the Bucs lose the game is if they let Fields run wild as far as scrambling out of the pocket, things like that.
Agree. Completely agree.
I think this is a game the Buccaneers ought to win. If you're a team that's on the rise, this is a game you got to win. People didn't think you could beat Minnesota last week, but this is a game you should win at home in the home opener. You got Philadelphia next Monday night potentially for a very intriguing game, Monday Night Football, if you can win this game. But you got to take care of business on Sunday, 1:00 at home. Peter Blake, give me a prediction Sunday.
Yeah, 27-13, Tampa Bay wins going away 2-0. They're going to be at Raymond James Stadium. It's going to be hot, and that offense and Baker Mayfield are going to be hot too. I like the Bucs in that game.
I'm with you. I think 31-14 kind of game. I think comfortable win. I think you're going to see more bounce. I think you're going to see Rashad White get in the end zone this week, the running attack a little bit heated up, and I think you'll see a Godwin touchdown, maybe even a Mike Evans. Let me ask you a Mike Evans question before we get out of here.
Yes.
Were you a little perturbed and a little? His reaction when he scored the touchdown was give the ball to the referee and run straight off the field. There wasn't a whole lot of rah rah rah. What'd you think of his demeanor in the game? Two drops.
Yeah, 2 drops. His demeanor in the game, I think he's determined. He's got to do a better job. I talked to Scott Reynolds this week, a Pewter Report, and he said that he had 2 drops and he's playing like a $16 million wide receiver instead of a $25 million wide receiver. So he's got to play better, but he's definitely got a chip on his shoulder, along with Devin White, who had 12 tackles in this game, was all over the place. He's trying to earn a new contract, and Baker Mayfield is playing with a chip on his shoulder. So I like the attitude by all these players right now. They're playing angry, and they're playing for money, which means they're going to be desperate, which means the Bucs are better off for it. Should they sign Mike Evans to a contract? I'd like to see him finish off as a Buccaneer, but I do understand the business aspect of it. And if he does want to be paid like Cooper Kupp, the Bucs are going to have to think about that and see, what kind of contract and how much it's going to cost the cap. But
here's the thing: the Bucs have time. Yeah. If a deal doesn't get done till the end of the regular season, it ain't the worst thing in the world. Right. The Bucs want Mike Evans. They've already come out and said they're not trading him. That was a report we saw in SI this week. They're not trading them. They want Mike Evans. This is the year they're, like we've talked about, they're paying all the credit card bills off this year. You can't go out and give Mike Evans another $25 million where it eats up, a ton of cap space this year, which you have to kick down the road next year. Mike, we want you, man. Trust me, they want you. I know they do. They're going to get you taken care of. I think in worst case scenario, the Bucs can still franchise tag him. He's under control. Worst case scenario, if you really want to keep him, I think Mike Evans is going to finish a Buccaneer unless something bad just blows up with he in the front office or something. But I think this is a situation that'll get worked out in the end. It may be a little pissed off and he might be a little angry during the season. I get it. But remember, he's gotten every penny of the contract extension he signed. It's not like they've asked him to take a pay cut or anything. He's gotten every bit of that $82 million that he signed 4 years ago.
You're exactly right. And has he helped out the Tampa Bay Buccaneer organization? Absolutely. But
that wasn't a pay cut. It was just how they moved the money around.
That's it. So I think they'll get it done. I have faith in Jason Light and Mike Greenberg and the organization over there. They have instilled that the last 5 years with the Super Bowl run and Tom Brady and everything they did in free agency. They will get it done, Jason Powers.
Give me a breakout player in the game, a kind of an under the radar guy that you see making some plays for the Buccaneers.
I mean, I think it's Rashad White. I mean, that's the guy for me that's got to step up in this game because he was disappointing. He knows he was disappointing. This running game is going to go off of him. If you're going to emphasize the run game, he's going to have to perform better, and I think he will against that Bears defense.
And one more shout out. What a job by the punt team, the Gunners. They made several big tackles on long.
Ryan McCollum, number 27, all over the place.
And Camarda punted the ball really well. Tremendous and great coverage by the Gunners. The McCollum and the Hayes kid were excellent on the punt returns. No big returns. 2 or 3 times they tackled the guy within a couple of yards on the return. So awesome job by the Buccaneers special teams. And Devin Tompkins had a couple of nice little returns. Again, Camarda punted the ball well. McLaughlin, money on the kicks when you got to have them. So kudos to the Buccaneers special teams as well. So there you have it, Buck fans. We both like the Buccaneers to go to 2-0, setting up hopefully a 2-0 showdown Monday Night Football week 3 with the Eagles coming to town. But we got to get through week 2 first, Peter Blake. Yep. Buccaneers go to 2-0, we believe. Again, buckpower.com, part of the go to for all the stats, info, Paul Stewart, buckpower.com podcast network. Listen to the broadcast on 98 Rock here in the Tampa Bay area. TJ, Gene, and Dave Moore on the call. You'll hear TJ's insights on the sidelines. As I'm losing my voice here, Peter Blake,
yes.
Tell everybody where they can find all your great work. Peter Blake will be on the sidelines. So if you're checking out the Sports Web post game, you might be able to call in, hopefully. So tell them where they can find all the great stuff.
Yeah, Facebook, Peter H. Blake. Of course, subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. And, of course, tune in every day, 5 days a week from 10 to noon on the J.P. Peterson Show as I'm his co-host. Great things there. I'm not going to do the bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm not doing that because my voice is almost lost, too. I don't know what's going on, Jason Powers. This bug, it keeps on keeping on. So
And I've listened to a couple days of the show here in the last few days, and you guys are doing a great job. You had a little promo at a place in Tampa on Monday, a little Monday at the patio.
yeah.
Peter's picking up all the ladies post show, whining and dining like the nature boy, jet plane flying, limousine riding, son of a gun. So
that's great. I love it.
Just an extended weekend for Peter Blake, baby, running the streets.
Yep, that's it. Monday nights, 5 to 7 there on the JP Peterson Show.
Is that every Monday? Is that an every Monday deal?
Yeah, I think it's going to be every Monday deal. I'm curious to see what we're going to do for the Philadelphia game, or if we're going to be out there or if we're going to be credentialed. That's going to be interesting.
There you go. There you go. All right. Again, you can find my work, Powers on Sports podcast, Florida Football Insiders podcast. If you go to the Powers on Sports podcast, you want an in-depth breakdown. TJ Reeves is on the show, Buccaneer Radio. We talked to a guy from Chicago, a longtime media member in Chicago, about the Bears, the angst about Justin Fields. We talk about a guy you like, Steve Mongo McMichael's Hall of Fame candidacy. He's got some health issues. A guy you know well from the wrestling world back in the day with he was part of the Horsemen.
He was a part of the Horsemen. He was also a part of the original broadcast from 1995, September 1995, at the Mall of America in Minnesota, which, by the way, TJ and Gene were at, and they were having a Saturday Night Nitro, which wasn't the same. It's a little wrestling thing, but yeah, Monday Night Nitro, he was the guy, the first announcer, the first color commentator, Steve Mongo McMichael, who belongs in the Hall of Fame.
And another big little bit of Tampa Bay wrestling news. The Royal Rumble coming to Tampa in the beginning of next year, 2024?
Yes.
See, I keep up a little bit, Peter Blake.
I know.
See?
When are we going? Are we getting credentialed? Are we going to ask questions?
You get me credentialed and I'm going, but I'm not paying a dime to go see Vince McMahon and all those bozos. You get me credentialed, I'll show up, baby. You got me there for sure. Get me a credential, Big Daddy.
Royal Rumble is probably my favorite pay-per-view besides WrestleMania because you never know who's going to come out. There may be a surprise. The Rock may come out. Who knows?
With all the wrestling history in Tampa, there'll be some guys coming out of the woodwork for the Royal Rumble in January of 2024 at Amalie Arena. And I think they're doing a show at
it's Tropicana for the Royal Rumble.
It's okay.
7th. And then January 29th, Monday Night Raw at Amalie Arena.
Wow.
Live.
There you go. All right, Buck fans, 2-0. Here we come. Home opener Sunday. Give a wave to Peter Blake on the field. You'll see Peter make post game. Well, I'm sure he'll have plenty of video content and all that kind of great stuff. Let's get to 2-0, Buck fans. Appreciate you finding us. Tell your Buck fans about us. We're talking it every week. We'll have some guests on throughout the year as well. So see you next time. No Quarter Given podcast. 2-0. Here we go, Bucks.